name is Nechita. I am 29, slowly moving out of the youth category, but I'm 18 at heart, so I still fit the profile.
Great. I'd love to hear more about your story, how you're working, to solve today's problems, and how you got to where you are now. Tell us about yourself and what you're doing.
Well, some of the things that I'm doing right now. So the main thing, like the job description, is I'm a PhD student in political science at George Washington. So that kind of takes up half my time, probably more at times. But more importantly, and I think what's important for you guys is one of the things that I do is I represent the Sandbox Network here in DC, along with a couple of other people, also very nice people to meet. And through that, one of the main things that we're trying to do, and we continue to do, is to connect young people, to help them. Young people nowadays have dreams. They want to reach really, really high. So we help them as much as we can using our social capital to get to that point. By basically connecting them to the right people, by providing an environment of trust, very close relationship between the members. That's one role. Another thing that I'm doing, and stop me when I'm going on too much. Another thing that I'm doing is as an undergrad, I received a very, very good scholarship, which, interestingly enough, selects on the variable of being engaged with your community. And so many of the people who have received the same scholarship are very, very engaged. They want to do stuff. They want to participate. So one of the things that we're doing now is we're trying to build up an association of these people, help them, get together and mobilize and put their, resources together for success in general. And these are all socially responsible people, so their initiatives are all good. There's good stuff to be engaged with.
Great. How are some ways you've worked across traditional boundaries in the different things you're doing?
Well, it's funny you should ask. As you can feel, I have a slight accent.
Yeah.
So boundaries for me, in 2010 mean nothing. You would have expected 50 years ago that, and probably it was the case, that you were very, very limited in what you could do. You were born into a certain, class. You were born in a certain country, and there was only so much you could do. Nowadays, boundaries don't really mean anything. When you conduct business, when you launch an idea, it automatically goes way beyond the city where you started, just because of the technology that we have available. And that's one boundary. Like just physical boundaries, I don't think there are as relevant. In terms of ideological boundaries, again, because we have so much more interconnectedness among people because of new technologies, you don't see, well, maybe it's just me, but I have a sense that ideological barriers are not as important. Whether you're a conservative, you're a liberal, you can sit down with somebody of the opposite aisle and not discard everything that person says just because you come from you hold two different sets of beliefs. And I think this is a common trait, and not just me. You asked me how I did it.
Yeah.
I did it like everybody who is my age and under does it. I think it's a common trait of this particular generation, the young people. I wouldn't say that and again, I don't want to provide an artificial threshold, but I wouldn't say that somebody who's 70 does that as efficiently and as well as we do.
Great. You're very involved with youth issues. Was there something that inspired you to do that, or was it just kind of a gradual gain of knowledge that got you involved?
Very good question. To be honest, I don't know, and therefore it's probably gradual. I was involved with. I think that in order to be a citizen of the world, you need to know, first of all, you need to know what matters to you, and when you do, you feel an impulse to act. At least that's how I. There's something wrong here. I need to change it somehow. And so I think for as long as, probably not when I was 7, but for as far back as I can go in memory, I've been involved with some sort of participation, social participation, civic at times.
Great.
Yeah.
Definitely. What are some of the challenges you see facing young people today?
I think this is a really important question. I was thinking of it. I was actually thinking when you asked me to do this interview. And I think one of the main challenges is we have access to so much information that we become interested in different things at a time. So I think youth in general, one of the challenges is it's a danger more than a challenge, but one of the dangers that I see for youth in general is losing relevance because they can't stay united and focused on issues that are important. So because of the fragmentation, into small interests, and I'm not saying that caring about a particular type, a particular problem is wrong. I'm saying staying focused is one of the main challenges. And I actually think that this is one of the main causes of underrepresentation. We're not being given enough attention because we are, all over the place. We don't know, okay, well, we want that. We don't, or we know exactly what we want, we just don't say it with a common voice.
And following up on that, this is the last question. What advice would you have for youth, for a young person who wants to get more involved, either in their community or the political process or youth mobilization? What would you tell them from your experience?
This is also a very, very good question. I think that the main takeaway, if I were to give just one point, and I'm gonna actually provide a few more, but the main point is realize that this generation is more powerful than other generations were when they were this age, just because of the huge difference in the technology that was available 20 years ago and what is available today. We grew up with the internet, with social media, with all of that. So that gives us an advantage that we are not aware of. We don't know. We make the assumption that because we are young, and youth in general, and as I said, I'm slowly moving out of the young category, but youth in general, they make the assumption because things have been like this, they actually don't have a voice. That's wrong. You gotta drop that assumption and realize that youth has much, much, much more power nowadays than it believes it has, and that the political system in general attributes to it. Another advice is, stay united. I think that's really important. There are and interconnectedness. You know, there are so many networks and so many contacts that people make nowadays. Stay focused. You know, if you have something that you're really passionate about, stay focused on it. Don't lose perspective of what you're aiming for. Use your contacts. There's you know, this, especially for young people, this hoarding of contacts. Well, I'm going to use this when I'm going to be a senator. I'm going to use this when I'll do. No, don't do that. Use your contacts as you have them now. If you have something that you want to change, if there's something that really matters to you, reach out to your friends. They, in turn, will reach out to you when needed. But if this doesn't exist, this reciprocity, and you are, you know, reluctant, you think that you are probably less important, less relevant, then obviously you're not going to get as far as you could with that. And a final thought is, you know, stay engaged. I mean, one of the main problems with youth is we get distracted, you know, sidetracked into, and I don't want to be stereotyping, you know, but video games or just procrastination in general, you know. Stay engaged. I mean, that's what actually matters, you know, as I see it. Being involved, stay in, you know, don't, you know, fall off the wagon at some point and just don't care. You know, if you don't care about the issues, well, first you gotta know the issues. But young people kind of have a feel for everything that they want. You know, they just don't express it very well. We know exactly what we think of one policy or another. We just don't know how to make that argument in a political setting. So staying engaged is one of the most important things, and that's how I want to close. You know, if you stay engaged and if you participate, then I think things are going to change, and youth is one mechanism by which this change is going to be brought about.